The first day of a blackout hits harder than you'd think. One moment, life hums along, refrigerators buzzing, phones charging, the comforting glow of lights. And then, darkness. It's not just inconvenient, it's disorienting, terrifying, because what happens in those first crucial hours sets the stage for everything that follows. Look, everyone tells you to stock up on food and water, but they never warn you about the real threats. How quickly your house turns into an oven or an ice box. How panic sets in when communications go dark and your battery dwindles to its last, desperate percentage. Or how fast your neighborhood changes as silence gives way to uncertainty. And worse, what scares me the most? It's the small, overlooked things that unravel you. Scrambling for a flashlight with dead batteries. A medical device that suddenly becomes useless. Doors you can't lock. Things you assumed you had under control, but didn't. Blackouts aren't just about keeping the lights on. Surviving that first day is about facing the unpredictable and the unseen. And if you're not ready for those dangers, the darkness will consume a lot more than just your electricity. Key areas of concern on day one of a blackout. 1. Water supply issues. We never think about it until it's gone. But when the power cuts out, so does the unseen heartbeat of our home, the flow of water. Your faucet is silent, your toilet tank won't refill, and what's in your pipes is all you've got left. The unsettling truth is that most of us rely on electricity, directly or indirectly, for our water. Well pumps stop working, and municipal systems lose their pressure. On day one of a blackout, this invisible safety net vanishes, leaving an immediate and critical threat. I've seen it happen faster than anyone expects. The air grows heavy, your throat parched, and suddenly you're calculating just how long your water supply will last. The cruel irony? Dehydration sets in more rapidly than hunger, impairing your judgment when you need clarity the most. The first hours of a blackout don't just bring frustration, they bring desperation. This isn't the kind of panic where you can afford to hesitate. The moment the lights go out, your priority must shift to water. Do you have enough? If not, how will you make what you have last? Fill your bathtubs, pots, pitchers, anything that can hold liquid. 1 gallon per person per day is the minimum for survival. But if that sounds like a lot, consider this. Cooking, cleaning, and the basic demand of staying hydrated in a stressful scenario all drain supplies faster than you can imagine. Then they said, and a supply of water all drain into the dry. Just take it. The scariest part? Others will have the same realization. Fights over dwindling water sources break out early, especially in urban areas. Stores empty, and neighbors who you'd trust in ordinary circumstances might start to see you as another obstacle in their own survival. Preparedness is the only thing standing between you and chaos. Without it, that trickle of water could become the flood of tension that cracks your resolve. 2. Food spoilage. When the fridge hums its last note and falls silent, the clock starts ticking. You might assume you've got time, but be warned. Your refrigerator is slowly transforming into a hazard. Without power, the temperature rises quickly, creating an environment perfect for bacteria. Milk sours, meat spoils, leftovers turn toxic within hours. What was a comforting source of nourishment is now a trap, a Pandora's box of food poisoning waiting to happen. I've seen this play out firsthand. People get distracted by the bigger picture, power lines down, phones dead, and they forget about the food right under their noses. By the time they realize the danger, it's too late. The symptoms hit them hard. Nausea, cramps, vomiting. Imagine dealing with that in a crisis, when medical help is inaccessible. You're weak, vulnerable. Another victim of what should have been preventable. On day one, survival isn't just about having food. It's about having the right food and knowing the order of consumption. Perishables in the fridge must go first. That carton of eggs, the leftovers from last night, eat them while they're still safe. Don't touch what you're unsure of. Guesswork can be deadly. Next, turn to the freezer, where food stays viable longer. Keep that door shut as much as possible to retain the cold. Cooking becomes its own nightmare. You can't rely on your stove or oven, and any shift to alternative methods carries its own dangers. Camp stoves and portable grills are godsends, but use them outdoors only. The invisible killer, carbon monoxide, has taken too many lives from those who thought they'd just whip up something quick in the garage. Even something as simple as grilling hot dogs can become a gamble if you don't take the right precautions. The only way to dodge this bullet is preparation. Stock up on shelf-stable items like canned foods and energy bars, and don't forget manual tools like a can opener. use perishables wisely, and save the non-perishables for later. Survival isn't just about weathering the storm, it's about navigating the hours where uncertainty and anxiety conspire to cloud your judgment. 3. Lighting and safe heat. When the sun dips below the horizon and your home plunges into absolute darkness, no amount of optimism can prepare you for the psychological weight of it. The first night of a blackout feels endless, oppressive, and for many, terrifying. The lights being out isn't just inconvenient, it's unsafe. Missteps in the shadowy corners of your home can lead to injuries. Worse, the absence of light can conceal threats you don't see coming. The instinct is to reach for candles, but if history has taught us anything, it's that desperation can be a fire hazard. Those flickering flames might illuminate your surroundings, but they also turn every room into a potential inferno. One knocked-over candle, one overlooked ember, and now you're fighting flames in a house no fire department can reach. Instead, the smarter and far safer choice lies in battery-operated lanterns, headlamps, and flashlights. But even those have their limitations. Batteries die, bulbs burn out, and without spares, you're cast back into that oppressive darkness with nothing but regret. Then comes the real chill. Without central heating, your home becomes a tomb, trapping cold air that seeps into your bones. Hypothermia doesn't just happen outdoors, it can find you huddled under blankets in your living room. The cold saps your energy, slows your thinking, and tightens its grip as the hours drag on. Your first defense is your clothing. Layers are your salvation. Put on everything you have if you have to. Thermal underwear, scarves, gloves. Use sleeping bags designed for cold temperatures. And if you're lucky enough to have hand warmers tucked away, now's the time to use them. An old trick from wartime survival manuals: boil water, if you still can, pour it into sturdy bottles, and use them as makeshift hot water bottles for short-term heat against your body. But the truly terrifying aspect is how often people take desperate measures. They'll light up ovens, turn on gas stoves, or even try to use propane devices indoors. The result? Carbon monoxide poisoning, a silent killer. It sneaks up on you with dizziness, confusion, and fatigue, often too late to stop it. By the time you notice the symptoms, your life could already be at risk. Once again, the only safeguard is foresight. Stock up on heating supplies and usable lighting options before the blackout strikes. Prepare for the first night as if it will stretch forever, because in the darkness and cold of day one, every minute drags painfully by. Survival in these conditions is a psychological battle as much as a physical one. Each bad choice compounds the dangers. Each forgotten preparation magnifies the risks. 4. Toilet sanitation emergency. A blackout doesn't just take away your comfort and light. It strips away dignity and hygiene, often faster than you'd expect. It takes just a single flush, maybe two if you're lucky, for the reality to set in. Without running water, your toilet becomes a silent, unusable burden. At first, it's easy to dismiss, something you'll figure out. But the disaster brewing in that porcelain bowl is far more insidious than just inconvenience. Neglect this issue, and you'll find yourself in the midst of one of the most dangerous threats to your health during a blackout. Human waste piles up fast, and with it comes bacteria, foul smells, and the very real risk of infection. Within hours, the hygienic sanctuary of your home can devolve into a breeding ground for illness. This is not just about discomfort, it's a health crisis lurking in your own bathroom. The horrific part? This mess doesn't just affect you. It spreads to your family, even your neighbors, contaminating common spaces and escalating the risk of disease outbreaks. A blackout strips away societal protections, and suddenly, you're back to dealing with sanitation the way humans did centuries ago, vulnerable and exposed. Acting fast is your only defense. When the power goes, so does luxury. You'll need to set up an emergency toilet station immediately. A bucket lined with a strong trash bag becomes your makeshift solution. Kitty litter or other absorbent materials will make waste management less horrific, though no less humbling. This is your new reality in the absence of working plumbing. Waste disposal becomes its own logistical nightmare. You have to think ahead. How will you safely store or dispose of those bags? Waiting for regular services to resume is not an option when decay closes in so quickly. Equally terrifying is how quickly your surroundings can turn lethal if you neglect hygiene. Without water to wash hands, the risk of transferring bacteria skyrockets. Scrub your hands with whatever you have: hand sanitizer, sanitizing wipes, even alcohol-based solutions. Each slip in hygiene could mean dragging dangerous pathogens right into your food, your loved ones, or onto the surfaces you touch. Stockpiling hygiene essentials, wipes, feminine products, diapers, is not just advice, it's a lifeline. You won't notice the cracks in your preparedness until it's too late, and by then even something as simple as staying clean will start to feel like an uphill battle. Fine, phone battery and communication loss. The glow of your phone screen becomes an increasingly familiar comfort as the shadows lengthen. But as the hours drag on and the blackout stretches into uncertainty, that icon at the top corner of your screen, a shrinking battery more future, starts to feel less like a mere inconvenience and more like a death knell. At first you don't think much of it. You'll plug it in when the power comes back. But what if it doesn't? Opioid dependency devoid. That phone connects you to the outside world, to help and to hope. Its loss is a descent into isolation, and isolation is dangerous. The silence is deafening when communication cuts off. You can't call for help, check updates, or reach family members. You're alone in a way you've never been before, trapped in the dark with no idea what's happening outside your four walls. Is the blackout citywide, statewide? Are there riots, fires, or looters nearby? Without information, your imagination spirals, and that anxiety tightens its grip. Humans rely on connection in times of crisis. It's not just emotional, it's survival. When that lifeline dims with every dwindling percentage of battery life, desperation sets in. I've seen people ration phone use like water, clinging to bits of charge to preserve some illusion of control. But how far can 5% really get you? Preparation is not panic is the antidote. The moment your lights go out, your phone's role shifts from entertainment to lifeline, and you must treat it as such. Conserve its battery by dimming the screen, putting it in airplane mode, and avoiding needless scrolling. Stop opening apps out of reflex. Every tap is stealing charge from your limited supply. Better yet, if you have one, immediately connect it to a portable power bank if you remembered to charge it before disaster struck. This isn't a drill. That lifeline can be the difference between safety and falling into dangerous isolation. But even phones have limits. If infrastructure is overwhelmed or down entirely, your precious battery may not matter at all. That's where alternative communication tools come in. A set of walkie-talkies can bridge gaps between family members nearby. If you've thought far ahead, a ham radio can connect you with emergency networks, though it requires knowledge and licenses to use efficiently. And don't forget the basics, a handwritten list of phone numbers and addresses. When your phone fails, muscle memory does too. The numbers you think you know aren't as sharp in your mind as you assume. 6. Entertainment and mental health decline. The darkness isn't just outside, it's inside, gnawing at your psyche. Hours stretch into an eternity when there's nothing to do but wait. The stillness of a home without power is oppressive, broken only by the occasional creak of settling walls or the distant howl of wind. The mental toll of a blackout is far greater than most people anticipate. It's not just about being bored. It's about being cut off from everything that anchors you. It's the anxiety of the unknown compounded by the lack of distractions to drown it out. By the end of day one, your mind becomes your own worst enemy. I've felt it. That creeping unease as time slows down, your thoughts growing darker as the blackout continues. Without TV, streaming services, or even a simple radio for background noise, boredom gives way to agitation and eventually despair. Humans weren't made to sit in silence, staring at walls and imagining worst-case scenarios. And if you're with family, the tension can mount quickly. A group stuck in close quarters with no outlet for their stress is a recipe for conflict. Keeping your mind and spirit intact isn't just a luxury, it's a survival strategy. Dig out those old board games, the playing cards, the puzzles you shoved to the back of the closet years ago. The simple act of engaging, however minimally, can reframe your experience. Telling stories, reminiscing, even getting a game of charades going can stave off that creeping sense of hopelessness long enough to get through another hour. Don't underestimate the power of connecting with those sharing your space, even as the darkness crowds around you. A battery-powered or hand-crank radio can play a surprising role in your mental survival. Tuning in to an emergency broadcast, or even some faint static of music, can remind you there's a world outside your home. It's grounding, calming in a way you can't describe until you experience it. The isolation breaks. You feel less alone. At least someone out there is trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy, even when catastrophe strikes. If you're alone, psychological survival becomes even harder. Solitary confinement does strange things to the mind. Without companionship or an outlet, cracks form quickly in your mental stability. Journaling, even if it feels trivial, can give your thoughts structure. Sketch or doodle by candlelight to keep your hands busy. Ground yourself with meditation or deep breathing. You need these small distractions to keep fear from taking over, because when fear dominates, decision-making suffers. And when decision-making suffers, the blackout wins. 7. Forgotten essentials, medications, hygiene, pet needs. When the lights go out, you don't just lose convenience, you lose access to the things you count on to stay alive and well. There's nothing more sobering than realizing you're down to your last dose of critical medication, or that basic hygiene is slipping away into chaos. Believe me, the darkness has a cruel way of exposing every oversight you've made in your preparation. The medications we rely on for chronic conditions or pain management often blur into the background of daily life. Until they're gone, that's when the nightmare begins. Whether it's insulin for diabetes, heart medications, asthma inhalers, or antidepressants, running out can turn a blackout from stressful to life-threatening in hours. Pharmacies won't come to your rescue when their systems are offline. Roads may be impassable, prescriptions inaccessible, and emergency services overwhelmed. This isn't a theoretical risk, it's a lived experience for anyone who's been caught unprepared. However, health isn't just about medications. Hygiene declines rapidly in a blackout. Your hands, once washed frequently, become carriers for bacteria your powerless water system can no longer flush away. The simple act of staying clean turns into a struggle, and when infection sets in because of a small cut or poor sanitation, the nightmare deepens. Baby wipes, hand sanitizer, and feminine hygiene products sound like luxuries until you're stuck without them. And when those little inconveniences compound, they start feeling like barriers you can't overcome. Pets, the silent dependents we love dearly, are another vital consideration. They can't tell you when the stress of a blackout is wreaking havoc on their bodies. Their food supply dwindles just like yours, and they need water just as urgently. Missed medications or sanitation lapses, like forgetting to set aside litter or an outdoor waste solution, can turn their suffering into yours as you scramble to make up for forgotten steps. Preparation here isn't just smart, it's ethical. Before the first flicker of lights out, gather critical items into a grab-and-go container. Prescription medication refills, over-the-counter essentials, wet wipes, pet food, and sanitary pads should be part of this kit. If you wait until the power is out to gather these basics, it's already too late. Blackouts have a way of forcing you into humiliating, desperate situations when you fail to address their silent threats. Don't be the one left scrambling while the shadows close in. 8. Security concerns at night. There's something primal about the way darkness makes every sound sharper and every shadow longer. It's as though the blackout turns your home into a stage where every creak of wood, every brush of leaves against the window feels like a sinister overture. And here's the truth no one talks about. It's not all in your head. When the lights go out, criminals see opportunity, the darkness gives them cover, and your powerless security system leaves you exposed. It happens faster than you think. A neighborhood that felt safe yesterday becomes eerie, vulnerable, and unfamiliar. Burglars know that a blackout means homes without alarms, streetlights, or camera systems. Even if you've locked your doors, how strong is your confidence in that one deadbolt? Worse yet, looters thrive on the confusion blackouts foster. Storefronts get ransacked, but homes are not immune. Desperation can turn even the friendliest neighbor into a potential threat. The scariest part? Most people aren't prepared to defend themselves because they've never seriously considered the possibility of a threat growing from within their own community. There are steps you can take to feel safer, but you need to act fast. Before the first nightfall, secure every possible access point to your home. Deadbolts, window locks, and security bars aren't just an expense, they're a safeguard against the unknown. Distribute small motion sensor lights or battery-operated spotlights both inside and outside your home. Even the illusion of a watchful eye can make your house less tempting to potential intruders. Generators, if you have them, should be kept secure and out of sight to deter theft. Finally, don't underestimate the power of community. Communication with neighbors could be your survival network. Form an informal watch group to share critical information and support each other through the long night. Criminals prey on isolation. Unity is your best defense when everything else feels like it's slipping away. And above all, keep a realistic exit strategy in mind if staying becomes more dangerous than leaving. Prepare as if you might have to flee into the night, because in the unpredictable chaos of a blackout, you just might. 9. Cold or heat survival without HVAC. Temperature is a silent killer during a blackout. It sneaks up on you, slowly eroding your physical strength and mental clarity. Most of us don't think twice about our HVAC systems. They hum in the background of our lives, maintaining environments where we can thrive without a second thought. But when the power dies, this invisible luxury disappears, leaving your home to transform into either a frigid tomb or an unbearable sweatbox, depending on the season. The cold is merciless. Sitting still drains your body heat faster than you'd think. And once hypothermia sets in, it dulls your mind long before it incapacitates your body. The worst part? You barely notice the decline until it's nearly impossible to pull yourself back. Meanwhile, the heat is its own relentless predator. Dehydration becomes almost unavoidable, and exhaustion sets in as your body loses its ability to cool itself effectively in suffocating, stale air. I've learned this the hard way. Survival in these extremes isn't just about physical endurance, it's about strategy. The key to surviving in the cold is containment. Create a warm zone, whether that's a single insulated room or huddled layers under emergency blankets and sleeping bags. Cover windows with towels or blankets to limit heat loss, and seal drafts with whatever you have: tape, rags, even spare clothing. If you have a wood stove or fireplace, check ventilation rigorously before lighting that first fire. The last thing you need is smoke poisoning to add to the calamity. Heat survival demands the opposite. Ventilation and cooling. Block out sunlight where you can, and prioritize hydration above all else. Battery-powered fans, or even manual paper fans, can keep some circulation going, though the relief is often temporary. The real challenge of extreme heat, though, is avoiding the temptation to overexert. Your body can betray you, lulling you into a false sense of capability just as your limits near a dangerous breaking point. Whether it's the biting chill of winter or the suffocating weight of summer, each minute reminds you that you took your HVAC for granted. Blackouts strip away comfort, and if you're not prepared to face temperature extremes head-on, you won't just feel the discomfort, you may feel your body giving up faster than you thought possible. 10. Preparations mistakes that now cost you. Hindsight in a blackout is a brutal thing. The untested generator that fails when you need it most. The wrong-sized batteries piled high in a drawer while your devices remain dark. The one crucial item, be it flashlights, duct tape, or even garbage bags, you swore you had but can't find. Day one of a blackout is when all the cracks in your planning start to show, and trust me, it's like seeing your lifeboat spring a leak in the middle of an endless ocean. You always think you'll have time to fix the small things. Organizing the emergency kit feels low priority until you're digging through drawers by candlelight. Test running equipment feels unnecessary until the moment you're staring at a non-functional crank radio or a leaking fuel line. The realization hits you all at once. You weren't as ready as you thought you were, and there's no room for a do-over. These failures aren't just irritating, they can cost lives. No plan survives first contact with reality, but the more carelessly you prepared, the quicker it falls apart under stress. Every missing item, every non-functioning gadget forces you to improvise, draining precious energy and time you should be using to stabilize your situation. The only solution is brutal honesty about your level of preparedness before disaster strikes. It's everything. Light bulbs, flashlights, chargers, even the latches on your emergency container. Conduct drills with your family, ensuring everyone knows where critical supplies are stored and how to operate every piece of equipment. Blackouts spotlight complacency, and when preparation fails, so do you.